Welcome back to the Grand Solar Minimum channel. Today is Sunday, February 27th, 2022. We'll do a quick space weather update, and then I'm going to get into the whole topic of the science behind the climate and everything that goes into the debate. Very interesting turn of events for me today, but first let's get into some space weather. Right now, our solar wind speed's coming in at 510.7 kilometers per second with a density of a 10.8. That's right, folks. Sunspot number 22. We have two active regions, 2955 and 2954. Now, what does that mean? Two active regions, and everyone thought that the solar activity was just shooting up and skyrocketing and taking off. But folks, two sunspots that are averaging 11 smooth sunspot numbers per grouping, again, falls in line with what we see during solar minimums. Now, yes, right now we're seeing more than just one or two active regions at a time as we are heading up towards the solar max in 2024. But surprisingly to me, and we've seen some far side X flares that have been impressive, but again, that's far side, that's not Earth facing. Stronger magnetic connection on the other side of the sun because of where we are in the orbit right now. Everybody's on the other side. We're kind of like the Lone Ranger right now. So weaker magnetic connection already from a weakening sun, and then factor in the fact that all the sun's energy is concentrated on the rest of the solar system while only having to focus on Earth and maybe one other planet. Nonetheless, weak magnetosphere, still averaging cosmic radiation dosage rates in the 6.4%. That's still high. These are significantly lower, however, than what we were last reported on last time we were on the air, which was around 8%. So we are finally starting to see the cosmic radiation dosage rates wind down maybe to be under 5% or lower. But we've already had a year longer of cosmic radiation dosage rates being above 5% than we did in the last solar cycle, 23 into 24's minimum. 24 into 25, this minimum, again, another year longer of cosmic radiation dosage rates higher than 5%. And it ain't over yet. I mean, it's very possible this could jump back into the 7% and hover around that for a while and plateau in the 6 and the 7% for a few months. So solar cycle 25, from my perspective, has very much performed as predicted at this point. And I got a lot of stuff to talk about with that. But first, let's go over to the grandsolarminimum.com, where our space weather section give us some stats here, and I'll go ahead and fill you guys in. So here we are. KP indices have been quite normal lately, KP of 4, and down to a 2 right now as we speak. So the incoming solar wind that we had did not spark a solar wind storm or a geomagnetic storm, but we did see increased solar winds, and we had about 525 kilometers per second before the show started tonight. And then right before I went on the air, I updated it, and it was down to 510. So we got that blast of solar wind that I kind of spoke of on Wednesday. It was a big nothing burger. Let's take a look at the coronal hole and take a look at the far side of our star as well. What happened there? First, let's go to the back side. And really, nothing more impressive than what we already have showing right now. If you go to the southern region here, we've got a cluster of sunspots. But again, how big are they? They are just now piercing the eastern limb. Here's the 90-degree area. That's the eastern limb. Now, once you get past this is considered Earth-facing. Right here is direct Earth-facing. So your risk of solar flares start up right about this point and end right about this point, as you could still be grazed by CMEs, and where I'm mentioning this area right here of the sun. Once they start heading this way, they're no longer a threat, and they're not considered Earth-facing. But right now, we have the two cluster sunspots up here. this coronal hole, which, folks, I'm going to say this, the next 24 hours and 36 hours, we should see a strong to moderate earthquake, or moderate to strong earthquake, I should say. 6.2 to maybe a 7.1, 7.3 in the central part of our planet near, I'm going to take a wild stab at it and just say the Central America region. Let's just go with that. But with this last couple of days and the coronal hole action that we've actually seen, let's see if I can pull up some images of our star and the different angstroms to show you this coronal hole. We've had a couple of days of this, actually. Let's see what the best one is. I think the 193 angstrom is actually the best. And of course, I don't see it right here. Oh, where are you? Where are you? Come on. My own website, guys. This is embarrassing. And the dogs are even yelling at me for it, too. There we go. So this is the coronal holes that we've watched. These are the ones that cause the solar wind increase now. These definitely decreased as it became Earth-facing. So, we saw a 6.2 the other day. I think that had to be a result from this as well. Now we've got this crack, but the width of this coronal hole is not so much impressive. In fact, the wider these coronal holes are, the bigger impact that we have from the CMEs and possibly seismic activity, be it a large earthquake or a large volcanic eruption. We have been active with volcano eruptions. We have been active with 6-point and higher earthquakes too. On a weekly basis, we're constantly monitoring several 6-point or higher earthquakes in the PNG regions, of course, the Central America regions, along the South Sandwich Islands as well, and of course, Antarctica, still having a lot of earthquake activity down there. Again, this all correlates with what we teach here at this channel, what we report on, and the information we try to reveal to everybody when it comes to the truth about climate science. And tonight's broadcast has been inspired. I have been in a interesting debate with a gentleman on Twitter. It's not even really a debate. The problem with all of this is that he has basically spammed my page with tons of articles from mainstream media, The Guardian, those kind of publications. And then he brings out all of the articles about how children are fighting and they're pissed at us. And, he just continues to show me articles that don't have anything to do with global warming. And forgive me, folks. I'm trying to get to our thread, and it's very hard to see because I'm not on my account. Oh, here we go. So this is what I've been getting from him all day. This is the thread that we are in right now. It all started with this tweet. We have a lot more ice now in the Arctic than we did in 2016. Now, this is all important. Follow this 2016 here. So how is it possible, if we are experiencing runaway global warming, time to wake up and smell the truth about climate? Now, if you guys take a look at this chart, hopefully you can see a little bit, but I will point out some numbers. Here is the top line right here, 2016. That is the sea ice extent in the Arctic, 13,630,119. All right, now, that was the all-time low in recorded history, according to this chart here. Then we see where 2022 is, which is all the way down here at 17th. Bear with me. Yes, 2010 was, the 2010s, I should say, was a very historic low ice event, okay? I mean, look at the numbers, 11, 15, 12, 21, 18, 16. So it's fair to say that we saw the peak of the warming in those in that decade. Absolutely. we were building up to the modern warming, okay? The modern warming era was coming to a close starting in 2016. As you see, that is the lowest. 18 was the second lowest. So here we started seeing the numbers. Now, third went backwards, 2021. After we started seeing some gains, 2021 was definitely a disappointment. But here's the fourth is 2006. That's going into the next solar minimum in solar cycle 23 to 24. So they were out of a max into a minimum, and that was basically the peak of the max. So they had warmer weather. 2017, starting the minimum, right, in 2017, gained a little bit more ice than we saw in 2016. So let's move forward here. Obviously, 2015 was during a warming period, a maximum. We were heading to that maximum. We were building up to it. 16 was our max. Continued to go down. And like I said, 2014, right before the max, we were at 14, 0.17261. But 2019, we had lower ice, but we're still building away from that number one. So 2018, 2017 is up here. Now we got 2019 down here. Like I said, 21 was a fluke. 2020 was right below 19. So each year we see a departure and a growth of Arctic sea ice, okay? And then, of course, here in 2022, this puts us up by almost 760,000, I think, kilometers per square meter, something like that. So the ice has accelerated in growth since 2016. Now, all I'm doing is showing facts that you can look up yourself and verify, okay? You can verify these numbers. The numbers don't lie, remember? And what I've been saying on this channel for many years is that 2016 was the end of the warming and the beginning of the decline in solar activity, in temperatures, and the increase of cosmic radiation. Everything that I was told about grand solar minimum in the beginning and how they start and how they go so far is coming true. From the crop failure to the temperature swings to the weird, wacky weather that's up and down, the extreme weather, folks, we're getting tornadoes in February in the south. Now, unstable atmosphere and persistent cold are the two main ingredients for tornadoes and their outbreaks. We saw a little bit more tornado activity last year. We have a lot of cold has been in place for the last several years. Like I said, since 2016, we have seen a decent decline, a start to what's happening right now. But why would someone want to defend the lie against facts like this? Why? And the answer is that the AGW climate science is not climate science. It is a policy and a handbook on how to change the economy and get the elite even richer. Because right now, the elite are the only ones that can afford these green new technology investments. Think about it. Elon Musk built Solar City out in Buffalo. Now, that didn't hit off very well. It was not the success that he had hoped for. And he admits to that. And there was a shortage of workers, just the plans not working out the way he had wanted them to in the first place. But this guy has given back to the community. He just donated $5.6 billion to help world hunger. Well, I'm telling you something, folks. That's a huge contribution right before we start to see the heart of this grand solar minimum, where food prices are already high now. What happens when they're high and in scarce supply? Okay, so people like Elon Musk can afford to invest in green new technologies. Obviously, he builds battery-powered vehicles, electric vehicles, solar panels, and satellites. So Mr. Musk can stand to make a lot of money. And I'm not trying to take a jab at him, because he's done some things that I agree with and he's done some things I haven't agreed with. But he is filthy rich and he can afford to invest into these Green New Deals. Al Gore, filthy rich, he's investing into these policies as well. He has a meat company. I think it's called Impossible Meat. They're the ones that do the Impossible Whopper at Burger King. That's his. He owns a lot of that. John Kerry has his hand in the cookie jar with stocks that are related to green technologies, solar and wind. Okay? So where am I going with this? Why is the lie being protected so heavily? Folks, can you imagine, and I've said this many times on the program, but can you imagine if the government and NASA and NOAA all held a brief next week, next year, and say, hey, folks, you know, we got this all wrong. We want to apologize to we want to apologize to the world. We're sorry. This sun drives the climate. And according to history and the empirical data that we've had from ice cores and other observations, we're going to be in some challenging times. And instead of doing the wrong thing and profiting off of people's misfortunes, we're going to actually try to come up with solutions to thrive and adapt to the upcoming grand solar minimum so us as a society can grow and become stronger for future generations. But instead, we're stuck in barbaric mental thinking, and the elites and the powerful are only thinking about themselves and their immediate families. That's it. So if people like me are heard on a larger scale and it starts to wake people up, well, now I'm affecting the pay, the income, the livelihood of these people who are pushing this agenda. These people that are on Twitter that are trolling about this, they're probably paid by some of these activists and individuals who are filthy rich, who are going to be even richer, because what Biden is doing right now in office is setting us up. Oh my gosh. I mean, you think that the debt is going to be bad for our children right now. Wait for your kids and their kids. Taxes are going to be out of this world. The monetary system probably won't even be here. It's just going to explode in debt. I mean, right now, the national debt's a joke. They tell us how much it is, but no one has a solution on lowering it or getting it paid off. But yet they're so conservative about dispersing money when people are in need. So anyway, that's another story. So back to my troll who didn't like this chart. A friend here, climate change is a hoax. Next to the scamdemic to make elite a lot of money. Huge FU to the rest of us. Amen, Craig. Couldn't said it better myself. Well, then here comes R.S. McCannon. This guy is freaking hilarious. Oh, he changed his. So this is new. His wallpaper. Look at this. Climate change is the reaper. Fossil fuel industry is the wolf. Look at this. The 1.5 degrees. This is cute. Now I want to ask you something, guys. How many cartoons do you see like this on our channel for getting a point across? We don't have to make up funny cartoons or gimmicky things to get people's attention about this. The facts, the charts, the graphs are all fascinating. And we've got some pretty cool videos on our website too. But here we go. So this R.S. McKinnon guy, he might have deleted some of his tweets here because, oh yeah, he doesn't want to give me the pleasure of showing. Oh, here it is. So he starts off, sometimes like just now, this was 7 hours ago, this is when I began engaging with him. He says, it takes about 18 rebuttals to get blocked. The AGW, climate change denier. But yesterday it just took one reply. This is not a goal of mine. Mind you, I prefer to be able to disrupt their false narrative. Blocks impede that. Okay, fair enough. He wants to be a disruptor. I thought he was cute and was saying a lot of funny things. So I got into a conversation thread with him. And he starts posting these articles from France24.com, blaming the storm in Brazil. That's on global warming. Hotter and wetter rainfall, temperatures rise in Japan, 2021. And then I replied with, even Japan's snowiest towns are overflowing with record snow. So he wants to blame global warming for all the rain and hot weather in Japan. And in the same region, that winter has followed up with record snows. And of course, his reply was record snow equals climate change. If I had $1 for every time I had that told to me, I would be able to quit my regular job and produce content for you guys on a daily basis, Monday through Sunday. No problem. That's how much it would pay me. I would work 7 days a week for that kind of money, because this is a common response from all AGW. Instead of providing me a link to a peer-reviewed paper that states that record snow equals climate change, then record heat and record rain causes climate change. So you're telling me the climate changed twice in Japan in 365 days? Wow. Boy, that climate change is getting dangerous. I replied to him as a record is a one-time high or low. You're basing climate change on a record. That's not climate science. That's propaganda. Again, you offer no proof, just regurgitated information from Al Gore and Bill Nye. Then he tells me that climate scientists made predictions about nature, high and low temperatures, change in climate change, blah, blah, blah. Data points are accounted for in these predictions. No, they're not. Because the predictions were that the ice would be gone by now, that our children would not see snow unless they were watching it in a movie or a virtual reality game. Okay? The predictions of this being a hot runaway planet, when we all know but we're barely above baseline right now, according to UAH. Winter's not over. Here in the northern part, anyway. And really, there's not that a lot of heat. I haven't heard a lot of heat records this summer in the southern hemisphere anyway. So, anyway. So he goes on, he starts quoting people and all this, and talking about this and that, and quoting all these fake news stories and how snow falls. And again, he's quoting someone who says that climate change is caused by global warming. More snow is caused by global warming. However, organized AGW climate change deniers have constantly trotted out the headlines, misinform the public. And then he uses YouTube videos, which I don't mind that, but I've been asking for, please send me some peer-reviewed papers. And I get choosing the right kind of trees for climate change. He tells me he's a teacher. I said, you should be ashamed of yourself, indoctrinating our children and lying to their faces. Meanwhile, it will be those same children you are teaching that will bear the cost of any AGW climate policy. And he says, they're the first generation to know the severity of climate crisis. That the last that I can do is anything to prevent a worst case scenario, and they are rightfully pissed at us. Talking about how children want to ban CO2. And that the consensus, he brought that one up too, folks. That one's hilarious. Hilarious. He brought up where did it go? He thinks I'm also being paid to do this. I get your guys' donations and Patreon memberships, and that is awesome. I appreciate that, but fortunately it does not pay the bills. I do have to work a regular job. If anything, the donations and the monthly subscriptions, they cover the cost of running this channel. I wanted to show you guys the other article that he used. It's hilarious. Well, he throws at me also. My goodness, there's a lot. Let's see how much more. I mean, he's blowing up my phone. Blowing up my phone. That's just one of the tweet threads. I think there's another one. I said something about him helping my algorithms, and that's when he just started doing one after the other, after the other, after the other, after the other. Big oil new, and then he says an example of headlines for global cooling comes from the independent.co.uk. No, it doesn't. He can't use. There's been reputable websites that have told and warned about global cooling and what's coming. Maybe he deleted it. So it was that good old-fashioned global warmist theory about the 97%. Wait, is this it? Yeah, no. Using Guardian articles, I love that. Damn it, he must have deleted it. But anyway, he brought out the argument of, I called him a soulless bastard. Can't help it, guys. The guy was like using children as a pawn here. Like, look at the poor children. Look at the poor children. But anyway, he uses that 97%. This is another reply to him. Stop it. Get some help. But he was using the 97% consensus paper. And then I said, oh, really? Really? Let's go over that. Thanks to Mr. Gregory Wrightstone, I'm sorry. executive director of CO2 Coalition. Boy, is there some really interesting numbers in this report. And I want to get straight to the heart of the facts. Listen to this. 0.3% consensus, not 97.1. Do you see that, folks? The scientific consensus that human activity is very likely causing most of the current global warming, Cook, ETAL 2013. A scientific consensus is saying that human activity is very likely causing most of the current global warming. 11,000 abstracts, almost 12,000, were reviewed from 91 to 2011. Okay, 100% of the abstracts were reviewed by everyone replying to this op-ed. So almost 8,000 were arbitrarily excluded for expressing no opinion. 66% had no opinion. 66% now out of 3,400 had no opinion. And that could be just the bulk of them didn't understand what that paper was about. And I'll tell you why here in a minute. Almost 4,000 were marked as agreeing we cause some warming. And they didn't give us a window here, but 32% agree that, yeah, we probably cause a little bit of the warming. Okay, we'll take credit for a little bit. 64 were marked as stating we caused most of the warming. Guys, out of 11,000, almost 12,000 papers, 0.5% stated that we are causing most of the warming. 41 actually stated we caused most of the warming since 1950. Again, below 0.5%. 0 marked as endorsing man-made catastrophe. So a lot of you would probably say, oh, Jake, you're wasting your time with the troll. You know, don't give them the pleasure. But I didn't block him because I wanted to see how long this would go. And it's been going on for hours now. Him just giving me articles from The Guardian about kids and this and that. Well, let me tell you something. If you know the kids are pissed at you and you're saying that CO2 causes global warming catastrophe, then why are we still using fossil fuels at all? If I knew that there was something I was putting in my body that was killing me, I would stop putting that into my body immediately. I wouldn't be like, well, I'm young, so let me give it about 20 more years and then I'll stop. That makes no sense. Your consensus is telling the world that man has caused all the warming, but then when you break down the numbers, nobody said it was causing a catastrophe, and 41 actually stated that most of the warming had been caused since 1950. Folks, that's terrible. How many people were involved with this 97%? That answer is around 3,100, 3,200 people. How many of those people were actually climate scientists out of the 3,100? Any guesses out there in the chat? Maybe I'll wait a second here. I'm curious. Does anybody know how many people were actually, out of the 3,200 respondents of this 97% consensus paper, does anybody out there know the actual number of climate scientists involved? Shorty said none. Yeah, pretty close. You're close. We can play hot cold. I can say you're warm. You're warm. Not far off. Let's try 79. 79 of the 3,200 respondents were actually climate scientists. And never mind that 97% paper that came out said the words viewpoint in the paper. It did not provide any examples of previous history work or any peer-reviewed documentation or any charts. It was an article written up as the time goes by, the earth will start to deteriorate and we have to plan now for... Nobody writes peer-reviewed papers that sound like a story in a book. And that's what this story was on the 97% consensus. It was a story. Thank you to Gregory Wrightstone for breaking it down and providing the facts and showing us 41 people stated that we caused most of the warming. That was 0.3% of the group of scientists. Again, they want to cherry pick the data. They want to cherry pick. Oh, did you see that? We're arbitrarily excluded for expressing no opinion. Why is that? 66% said, I don't know. I don't know. 32% were like, maybe or some of it. And then like 0.5% said, yeah, we've caused most of it. I just, if people can't understand that this is not about saving the planet, because that's how arrogant man is right now. Some of the AGW folks, very, very arrogant. They think they're going to save the planet, stop all CO2. Here's how they plan it. Well, first of all, we're dealing with a war in Ukraine, a very unjustified war from Russia. It's going to affect many, many things. Energy prices are going to be soaring. I've already checked the futures. We're up to $96 on a barrel of oil. Natural gas is also up to 4.1. It's been hanging out in the 2s and the 3s lately. It's slightly up now. Futures were trading low, negative 450. But I'm going to tell you something. After what I saw last Monday in the markets, when we lost 850 points at one point during the day and regained everything back and gained 100 points by the end of the close, 1,000 points. It reminded me of a grand solar minimum stock market, the swing. It's kind of how the temperature swing is in the grand solar minimum. One day it's 90 degrees, the next day it's 45. Colorado can tell you all about that. So we got this unjustified war going on that's going to just soar energy prices. And then you got Grandpa Joe still wearing his mask, even though everybody else is telling him to take off. He's sitting there signing his paperwork. What is this paperwork for? And thank you to this article, because it really does break down exactly what this means. Biden makes sweeping changes to oil and gas policy. Now, Biden has recently come out and told people that he wants to help with the pain at the pump. And we all know the only way you can help with the pain at the pump, besides a gas tax holiday, is producing more barrels of oil. Since the United States, with the last administration, was pretty independent on energy and didn't have to rely on foreign oil or anything like that, because we were producing way more than we ever had before. So the existing 25% of the oil that the United States gets is from offshore drilling here in the U.S. What this new policy is going to do is going to remove the ability to explore future locations for oil and natural gas. So here we are facing gas prices averaging at $3.80 a gallon. We have a war going on, which will probably likely raise it to above $4 a gallon before we even factor in these new laws. This should make everyone a little bit more like, well, oil is going to be worth more money because the U.S. is about to drop out altogether. I mean, let's face it, folks. The United States, to me, seems like the only country in the world that's serious about getting rid of fossil fuels. You've noticed all these other countries have resorted to opening up their coal plants again and using natural gas and, but on top of Biden canceling all chances of future exploration for energy, on top of the fact that the Keystone permit has been pulled, and the only solution to rising gas prices are by producing more barrels of oil. In this case, we have the capability of putting out more natural gas. In fact, this is actually a very important thing I want to show you guys before I'm done with that point. Natural gas prices, CO2. What does all this have to do with it? Check these three pictures out. This is CO2 rising above 420 parts per million as of 2021. This is the temperature, lower troposphere, the 2-meter satellite temperature data. We are 0.03 above baseline. Here we are in the solar cycle 25, which is showing, folks, that we are at the same spot at the same time of the cycle as we were in 24 and 25. Solar activity remains low, producing some crazy wild weather that we've seen so far. Volcanoes going off, contributing to that cooling as well. So with all that said, Everything that we're showing you is naturally happening because of the sun. The sun controls this, the sun controls this, and the sun controls the CO2. And you're like, well, how does that happen, Jake? Melting glaciers release CO2. Warmer waters in the ocean release CO2. Volcanoes release a lot of CO2. Forest fires release a lot of CO2. Have you seen the video about where the forest fires can make their own weather and how much CO2 emission has to be provided to get to that point? It's impressive. It's almost like the thickest cloud you've ever seen in your life. You can't see in front of yourself. There's so much smoke and ash, and yet it creates produces a storm system that drops huge amounts of rain out in front of the fire. And I think it's Mother Nature's way of trying to help put out the fire. It produced its own rain because of the particulates already in the atmosphere, the water vapor and highly charged particles. Boom! Firewall. But all of this is emitted naturally. The reason why we're seeing carbon dioxide continue to rise, and look, temperatures have been falling since 2016. This is 2016, right here, where my blue arrow is. Here, I'll roll up so you can see the year. So I'm not fibbing you, okay? Show me a time that's been warmer since 2016. Nope. Nope, nope, nope. Still not there. Nope, nope. Oh, God, where are we going here? What's going on? But wait. Doesn't this show that we're still experiencing high rates of CO2? Uh-huh. Okay. And when Trump was president, he didn't start any climate policies. In fact, all he did was started using more natural gas, and we didn't have to rely on much coal and oil at that point. So we actually reduced emissions. Listen to this, in 2017, okay, we're heading into a minimum, more volcanoes going off, and Trump was able to lower emissions in the United States by 2.7% because the extra use of natural gas versus the traditional coal and oil. Guys, all I'm saying is that we can compromise here. If you want to get rid of dirty fossil fuels because it's affecting the breathing air and the water, fine. Let's find ways to get better, cleaner energy. But let's not go crazy and say we're just going to go off of solar and wind. No, not even natural gas. Even though it lowered CO2 emissions in the United States without a climate change policy in place, it naturally lowered. So CO2 does not have anything to do with temperature rise. It's doing the opposite, okay? And it all has to do with this right here. The reason why we are seeing a cooler trend right now is because this is low solar activity, folks. 23 was up here, way up here. 24 and 25 are supposed to be equal, and guess what? 26 is supposed to be scary, scary low. And that's why some folks are comparing this to the Maunder minimum. But no, we got Biden, who is changing the laws on future exploration. He's taking out the Keystone Pipeline. The war is going to drive prices up. And now we're going to be making less oil, higher demand, prices going through the roof. It's going to crash the economy and force everyone into electric, solar, wind, electric cars. They're going to raise the price on gasoline so much that it's just not going to be affordable to run your lawnmower anymore on gasoline. It's going to be a luxury. You save that for the special occasions if you forgot to mow for 2 weeks. I mean, we got to charge the battery every use, right? How much energy does that take from my electrical outlet that's connected to the grid that's still using fossil fuels to run? It makes no sense. That's why I always say this is just something for the elite and the rich to get richer. This is changing the economy. This is not changing the planet. The only thing man is changing is the economy. It's not going to change the results of climate change. I promise. And you want proof? I'll show you proof. Go to solargsm.com. The link to this website is actually in the description box. This is Valentina Zarkova's official website for her research and activity, her papers, her videos. And I just want to brag that I'm married to the website designer / admin. So, just wanted to put that out there. But she's doing a great job at rebuilding Valentina Zarkova's site and making it more organized and easier for people to find the information on her. I mean, anything that she has done on video, audio, archived articles, everything is here. And Mari has made this a lot easier to navigate. And this is going to be fun. Like most people, they can't think of someone website that they can go to and pull real peer-reviewed work here and examples of the work that she's doing. And then you get to go to Valentina Zarkova's website. And she has a PhD in astrophysics and PhD in mathematics. And she's the one that proves solar inertial motion causes warming and cooling. And everything you need to know about grand solar minimum and the magnetics of the sun is right here on this website. So if anyone ever wants to give you flack on proof that solar activity interacts with the climate, give them this website. Give them this website. Now, they won't want to read it because they're just going to say, oh, that's a blog. No, it's not a blog. This is the official website for Valentina Zarkova and her work. This is from the horse's mouth. This is not Mari's or my words. We are basically, she's telling us what to put, and we're putting it in. Or Mari's, I should say. I'm playing Madden. Mari's the one doing all the work, so she's kicking butt. Anyway, this is the best way I can tell you guys to debate an AGW climate wacko, because you can't show them graphs and charts because they start bringing out their coloring book Guardian articles and Daily Mail and all that other crap. Nope, no peer review work, no mathematics, no nothing to show you how thermodynamics works, nothing like that. But Valentina Zarkova's website does, and she proves the sun drives the climate through math. Who knew? Who knew? All right, so let's check out some weather here in the upcoming future after we had an interesting storm with Oakley. I'll tell you, Mari wasn't impressed. I wasn't either. We got probably closer to 7 to 8 inches. Mari also called that. She said 6 to 8. I was like, no, it's going to be over a foot. No, didn't get anywhere near a foot. Easy cleanup, though. Still a lot of snow on the ground. Cold air is definitely in place right now. Some light snow moving through the northeast. The northwest starting to see a very soggy pattern developing already. And guys, I do apologize, but this was not updated earlier. I'm going to refresh this. Let's try this one more time. But starting to see a soggy pattern in the northwest, especially in Montana, snowing in the higher elevations. Quiet in the Midwest. And yeah, the forecasts have not been updated, so I apologize. The reason why I wanted to show tonight's forecast, which tomorrow night we'll be on live on Monday doing a regular show, so I can do that then. But I'm concerned about the lack of moisture across this area right here, folks. And I'm talking about Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma. You know, we've had some pretty impressive winter storms here, so we've gotten some replenishment of moisture in this area. But right here, too, the heartland of our crops is a little dry. I know our friend Matt Bros from McCook, Nebraska, definitely could use some rain dancing prayers. The moisture is a little low, and that's not good for crops. And I think, you know, they're predicting what they call a reverse spring for most parts of the country this year. And I think that's going to affect planting as well, on top of the fact that we're struggling to keep up with supply and demand on fertilizer and other stuff of that nature. So, you know, lots to watch here over the next several weeks. I looked at the outlook forecast for my local area. Yeah, not even Tropical Tidbits is up to date. Well, wait. So we get here to, this is March 5th, 6th. Okay, so they're up to date. So let's go ahead and use Tropical Tidbits. We don't get another system potentially until the 6th of March, which could bring rain and snow to most of the northeast. And then another low pressure system moves in after that on the 8th of March. Light system, maybe a couple inches, but high pressure hanging out for most of the country here in the first week of March into the second week. Off and on snow showers, nothing amounting to anything serious, but all this high pressure is dominating across the central part of the United States. And like I said, my concern is that we're not getting enough moisture to the areas I just spoke of. I'll back up here around March 4th. So that system that we might experience here in the Northeast starts up around March 4th in the central part of the United States. Maybe some brief showers for your map, but nothing major. Eastern Nebraska picks up some showers. And then light snow forecasted to fall for Nebraska, still nowhere near the amount of moisture that is needed at this time. So that's a concern. Supply is a concern. Winter's not over yet for the Northeast either. High pressure and colder temperatures are going to hang out for a lot longer. in the Northeast and the Great Lakes. But again, we start seeing these weird jet streams where we get the ridge and fridge and cold dip right here, but it gets warmer on the East Coast. The jet stream is wavy because solar activity is low, and when you have low solar activity, that loosens up the jet stream, and that's where we get this wavy type jet stream. When solar wind is constantly in the 400s and staying nice and strong, you've got more of a straight line of a jet stream. It's stronger. You're getting frequent and consistent climate patterns. Right now, it's any man's guess because of how wavy the jet stream actually is right now. But you can see that March is showing us that we're going to see cold and snow, rain, and then cold and snow again, and then rain, and then cold and snow. And really, all the way to the middle of March, the areas that I've been talking about having the late winter up in here, the Great Lakes, the Northern Plains, and of course, the mountainous regions of Montana, Idaho, even parts of Washington and Oregon, still going to receive that cold and nasty weather. But look, spring is trying to make an entrance, folks. In the South and the Midwest, it is trying to get going, but we need rain here for our farmer friends here in the mid part of our continent. All right, that is going to do it for me tonight. I want to say hello to a few folks out there in the chat. Patricia Clayton, good to have you out there. Very enthusiastic gardener. I don't think you got much with that last storm either. Shirley Davidson, Pizza Hut. Jerome, how's it going, my friend? Of course, hello to my lovely wife, Mari. Extreme Lemon, good to see you as well. Hello there, Wood Spirit 98. Lots of new faces as well. Good to have you on the channel tonight. Thank you for tuning in. Guys, like I said, if you like what we do here, the goal of this channel is to raise enough money to where Mari and I can start branching away from YouTube and streaming all of our video on the website, thegrandsolarminimum.com. Mari's already got a section set up for that to happen. The only trouble is that the software for that is expensive. The program we need to run that to where we don't need to use YouTube anymore. We just record our own videos and upload them to our website. We'll have a chat. We'll do it just like we do it on YouTube, except you go to thegrandsolarminimum.com for free, right? The only thing we ask is that you consider a donation on Patreon. Maybe go get a t-shirt at the Teespring store, or just sign up at Patreon. Even $1. We have thousands of subs, and if thousands of our subs could throw us $1 a month from each of you, I'm just saying things would change big time for this channel, and we would be able to be in a more secure private area and not have to worry about YouTube just saying, hey, you know what, you don't meet our community requirements anymore, so we're banning your channel. We're banning your IP too. That won't happen on the website. So Mari and I have been doing a lot of research on relaunching. We wanted to get this done in February. Fortunately, my health has been awful. This is the best I've felt in 6 weeks, to be honest with you. So now we're working on relaunching things for real in the beginning of March. In the meantime, we're starting to get things warmed up. But we have been looking into new ways on how to deliver the information because honestly, folks, who knows how much longer YouTube and Google is going to even allow broadcasts like this. So we are currently working on moving things to our website. But again, I'm not asking you to join our website for any memberships or anything like that. We would kindly appreciate $1 membership at Patreon and $1 per subscriber. I'm just saying that does a lot. That's going to help put this channel to that level where we want to be, to where we don't have to worry about restrictions, about the content, on the truth, right? All we're doing is showing you the truth, the real climate science, and all you get back from AGW is Guardian headline stories and Greta quotes. Okay, well, that's going to do it for me today, guys. Thank you for tuning in, and tomorrow night, 7:30, we will do another show. Until then, we will talk soon. Be safe out there, guys.